Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata Podcast. This is your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. This is episode number 90 on the Pranzata Podcast series on YouTube. Today, we have a special guest. Her name is Yumi Nagashima. She is a stand-up based in Vancouver, Canada, and she is also originally from Tokyo, Japan. Before I get into it, for the new listeners, if you enjoy what you hear today on the podcast, please don't forget to hit subscribe. It is my mission to grow this channel this year, and your support would really mean a lot to me. Also, I like to sometimes introduce some controversial questions or questions about philosophy. So I'm very interested to know what the listeners have to say in response to some of my conversations. So feel free to insert any opinions you have below on that. So let's get right into it. My first question for Yumi is, did you originally start stand-up comedy in Canada or Japan?
In Canada.
So along your journey as a comedian, growing as a comedian, you were saying you made a transformation in your writing style of comedy. Do you mind sharing with the listeners, what was the transformation that you noticed from beginning stand-up comedy to now in your joke writing style?
Oh, yes. So like at first, my jokes were like all about this Japanese person coming to Canada and then seeing the things with Japanese person's perspective, and then there was like shocking things or like surprising things, and I would point out the difference, like, oh, why people are like this, or like what other people are doing this, and I don't understand that kind of joke. And then right now that I've been in Canada for 15 years, like I'm starting to realize like, oh, like we are not about like it's not, we are not race, we are not gender, we are not like age, like this is I'm start seeing beyond those conditions, and then my jokes are like more about like universal laughter, and then I'm trying to like more like unite people instead of divide people.
That must be interesting to also go through as a comedian, because I'm sure to a degree when you're starting your jokes and you're starting building your material, you probably evolve and become better at this material. So to suddenly change, do you feel like you had to get rid of some older material? Was that difficult for you?
Yes, yeah. Some like jokes, like I was attached to it. So like it was really hard to let them go. But like at the same time, it feels good because like I don't stand by it anymore, because I'm not the same person to be telling that joke. So like it's actually feels good. But like at first, like the change was a little bit like troublesome and overwhelming.
Yeah. I've heard other comedians say similar things, like when they first started writing jokes, they were writing a lot of material about like maybe they were single, you know, that type of stuff, the dating scene. And then as their lives evolved and they got married, I've heard other comedians say that they were like telling the same jokes about being single because it worked for them and they were good at telling these jokes, but that like emotionally they felt like disconnected to the joke. So they almost felt like fake, like, I'm saying these jokes for the laughs, but this isn't who I am. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's very good. That's like a bold move to make, to be able to like step into that and take the risk of trying something brand new. Yeah. Okay. So my next question for you. Oh, all right. So I was stalking your Instagram to get some like inspiration for questions to ask. And I had no idea that you're actually also a musician. I had no clue, and I can relate because you see some instruments here. So when have you been playing music your whole life? And like, which instruments do you play?
Oh, like my favorite is piano. Like I've been playing for like 15 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And I sometimes play ukulele for fun. Like
I saw
so
that.
good with like comedy songs. Yeah.
So you actually use the ukulele to make comedy songs, is that right?
Yes. But so far I've made like 2 songs.
Do you get like a good does the audience like the comedy songs?
Yes. but it's like yes and no. Some people are like really used to this like a traditional comedy style. So like all of a sudden like um music starts, like they feel like a little bit like what is this? But like yeah, but some people really like it. Yeah.
I think whenever I see a live comedian, like especially if they throw it in there like randomly, I always think it's
Mm,
exciting. Like, oh, what is this? I mean, I
mm,
don't listen to a ton of like 100% music comics. I like Bo Burnham. I do like Bo Burnham. I
me
think that
too. Yes.
yeah, he's the only one that I like really listen to. But I have
Mm,
seen comedians like randomly be like, I'm gonna play a little song for you, and I think it's usually I like it.
mm,
Um,
cool.
Okay. So my next question for you, I have a lot
Mm,
of listeners who are comedians. Some of them are new comedians. So I'm
mm,
sure they would appreciate this because it is always inspiring to hear. Um,
mm.
do you have any memories of like epic bombing stories that like sticks out in your head that you're like, oh my God, I can't
Ooh.
believe this, like I can't get this out of my head.
Epic like I can think of like two moments right now. Like one is like I was like I wrote jokes for a radio show. So like and then it was working for a radio show, and then I tried to tell the same joke on stage, and the format wasn't a good match with the joke, and then like it was well, yeah, it was the reaction wasn't very like really like nothing was happening, and then I was like, oh okay, of course, like because I wrote this joke for this special like radio show, so like it doesn't make sense to do it on stage kind of
Was
thing.
this like earlier in your comedy career or was this like later on?
I would say like five, wait, four, no, 2 3 years in, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you've been doing for like 10 years now, is that right? Like I don't
Oh,
remember.
8 years
Okay, so
now.
almost
Yeah,
10 years. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's good. I've heard a lot of comedians say that like the 8 to 10 year mark is when they really start feeling like they're growing a lot. So that's
Mm,
and then like going back to what we were saying in the beginning, that must have been especially like even scary to get into
mm,
new material like 8 years in. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Mm,
Um my next question for you. All right, so sometimes I take questions from the listeners. So I
mm,
do have a question from a listener, and
mm,
we I guess we can both answer it.
yeah.
So the name of the listener, I hope I'm not mispronouncing this.
Mm,
Alem da curiosidade sounds like some Spanish, I think. Um,
mm,
okay, so he wants to know
mm,
from the perspective of a lady,
mm.
would you ever date a man who has kids?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
because it's just a condition, right?
yeah,
Like the person with kids or without kids, the person himself
yeah.
doesn't change the
Yeah,
condition.
no,
Yeah.
I totally would. I
Mm,
don't know if he's asking that because he has kids. Maybe that's why he wants to know. But
mm,
same thing here. Like especially now that I'm older, like I'm 35, so not that
mm,
I'm not old, but I'm not in
mm,
my 20s anymore. I'm definitely become like a lot more open-minded. And it's funny, one of my guy friends, he just told me he's dating like a woman with kids and he's
mm,
like I love it because he's like a career man, he's a musician. He doesn't want to have any kids. So he's like,
mm.
I love this because now I won't be pressured to have kids by my
Right.
girlfriend because she already
Mm.
has her own kids. So
Yes.
um yeah, so I agree. Like I would just date if somebody had kids, doesn't
Yeah.
bother me.
Mm-hmm. Me
Plus a
either.
man who could take care of kids, he's probably like I would imagine more responsible. Hopefully.
Responsible, more
Hopefully.
mature. Yeah. You have to kind of. Yeah.
Okay, my next question for you. So speaking of like relationships, what is for you a deal breaker in a relationship or even a friendship? Like what is
Mm.
like I am not going to tolerate this type of thing in another human. Do you have anything like that?
Oh, wait, what is it? Oh, like who is not good at cleaning and organizing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I wouldn't say for me that's a deal breaker, but
Mm,
it is annoying because I've
mm,
dated, especially like the times we live in today.
mm.
um the relationship dynamic is changing so much. Like a long
Right.
time ago, it used to be like the traditional way was the woman clean and the
Mm,
man makes, the money, and it was that type of relationship. But I think
mm,
in the modern day, both
mm,
partners have to work. So
mm,
it's like,
mm,
wait a second. So I'm, as the woman, I have to go make my own money and do the
mm,
cleaning, and then
mm.
you just make your own money and then not do any cleaning. Like it just seems unfair. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. It's just if you live together with the partner,
Yeah.
it's going to be like everyday thing, and then it's like if it's not like cooperative, then like you can't maintain the standard of the cleanness.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm definitely a
Yeah.
clean person too. And
Mm.
like, I feel like a lot of men are not naturally clean. Like, for some reason, it's just
Mm.
not in their nature to be naturally clean. So I definitely appreciate like when a man could clean. It's a nice thing.
Yeah,
And
totally
cooking
agree.
too. Like, because it's
Mm.
hard. I don't know, like, do you do a lot of your own cooking or do you go out to eat?
No, like I'm so lucky my partner is a great cook, and he just like his nature, he loves cooking, so I just do the dishes.
That's it. Like my boyfriend and I, like I do mostly the cooking because he doesn't really know how, but like he does
Mm.
the dishes. So
Mm.
it feels like a fair balance. I agree with that.
Right.
Okay, my next one, I'm experimenting with a new segment on the podcast. So
Mm.
I apologize. You're only the second person I'm doing this to. So I hope it's not
Oh,
too much.
I
But
love
I
it.
wanted to
Exciting.
put what's that?
I love it.
Okay.
Exciting. Yeah.
I wanted to put random trivia question, and I
Okay.
don't expect you to know it. It's more
Uh,
just fun for everybody.
okay.
Um, my question is, and I didn't know this either. I looked it up today.
Uh,
How many spoken languages do you think currently exist in the world? So not like
whoa.
historically, but right now. How
Okay.
many
Right
spoken?
now.
Yeah, what would be your best guess?
Wow. Spoken languages. 3,000.
Okay, that's a pretty good guess. So the
Yeah.
answer is roughly approximately 6 to 7,000. So I
Oh,
think I
wow.
think your guess was actually pretty good because I asked my boyfriend today and he said like 700 and I was like, no, way more.
Mm.
So I think that was a great guess. And
Oh,
then
thank you.
yeah, which I wouldn't have known. Like I had no
Mm,
idea. Which and then the second trivia question is which
mm.
country has the most languages being used right now? What country do you think is using the most?
Africa.
Okay, so the answer was Papua New Guinea, but
Mm,
so if the listeners don't know where it is, it's an island like a little northeast of Australia, but
mm.
apparently they are currently using 840 languages. So
840.
yeah. So
Yeah.
just that country. And like I didn't really look into it. I wish I had an assistant to like look more information, but I'm not
Mm,
sure if there's like that many dialects in the
mm,
country or like is there different English? Like I don't know. I'm not sure exactly like which languages are used there, but I just thought that
mm.
was interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
And
Very.
you speak two languages, right? Or do you speak any more than
Mm.
two?
No, two for now.
How was that for you, like learning how to do stand up in a language that wasn't your native language? What was that experience like for you?
Oh, actually, like I feel like English is the best language to do stand up because like you can make the setup really short.
Okay.
Yeah, and then to the punchline. But like Japanese language, it's like when I try to do the same joke in Japanese, the setup part becomes like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, like it's like really long.
So I don't know too much about the Japanese language. So they have longer words or their sentences have more words in them. How does that work?
Yeah, for example, like I is like in Japanese, it's like watashi wa. It's like it's already longer, and then
Okay.
like verb conjugation is like eat can be like 食べます 食べました or like 食べましょうか or like it's like it gets like longer. So Japanese language is like I think it's difficult to do the stand-up comedy. I feel like.
That makes a lot of sense because like
Mm.
especially you have like a musical background, so you probably have like an intuition about musical like rhythm. That makes a lot of sense that if English has like shorter, it's sort of like very like you can punch the audience with these like short words. Like it just kind of comes out with like a little more punch and like effectiveness. That makes a lot of sense. Like it almost sounds like that long language is like pretty. It's like very musical and pretty, like very long words and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So now I have some questions, some philosophy questions I like to put on here. So my next question for you is, if looking back, if you could give some advice to your younger self, like if you could go back to like when you were 19, 20, whatever, like around this time, what would you say to yourself? Like, oh, I should have known this then. Like this will help you a lot, you know, if you could give some advice to yourself.
Wow. Like I would give myself like that you are loved as you are, like so much, and then just like open your heart to see that.
Okay. So when you were younger, you struggled with like the confidence, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think in a sense, I think it's confidence, but like almost like I felt like I have to alter myself in order to be like loved or accepted or to be seen.
Yeah.
But like I think yeah, confidence. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I feel like that's an important point to make, like especially for young people today, because I think with the internet, I mean it could be also for men too. I can't speak for it, but I know as like a woman, there's just so many like I would imagine it would be really hard for young girls right now because there's so many women on the Instagram like putting filters on the face and like getting so many plastic surgeries and lip injections. So I would imagine like that is especially difficult for younger women right now, you know.
Right.
Like it was hard for me then too, you know what I mean? Like I mean I have no idea how old you are, but I'm 35 and I was struggling with confidence like as a teenager young woman, like without all these things, you know what I mean, without all these filters and everything. So I would imagine it's way worse even too, you know.
Right. I feel like so like there's like I saw one Instagram quote saying like if I can give my daughter, if I had a daughter and my daughter three things, like one is to know your self worth, like to be able to know the self worth and a confidence to know your self worth, and then second is the strength to be able to chase your dreams.
Yeah.
And then third one is the ability to be able to know how loved you are. Those three things.
I have to say, I'm as a grown woman, I don't think I've like yet mastered the third one. I think I've gotten the confidence to chase my dreams and the first one, but I'm still like even at my age exploring with the idea of like accepting myself exactly as I am and like every day. Was there anything that you did? I mean, I don't know if there's any like magic for it, but was there anything that you did that eventually helped you get to that place? Like,
yeah, I think like to me like I recently went to like a music festival called Bass Coast, and then like that's like celebration of like life, like people come and just to celebrate their lives kind of thing. So like vibe is really good. And then when I was like dipping my feet in the river, all of a sudden like I came this realization of like, oh, like I'm like now I'm completely I fell in love with myself. I felt it like a week ago and I'm like 45 years old right now.
you're
So like
45?
yeah.
Oh my God. I'm looking at you like thinking you're younger because you have such like good skin. Oh my God. I would have
Oh,
never thought
thank
you were
you.
45. I'm thinking like, I'm asking questions like, oh, she must be younger than me. But wow, that's yeah.
No, you have beautiful skin too.
Oh, I have like issues with acne, so I have makeup on. But yeah, no, you look
Mm.
amazing. You don't have any wrinkles or anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. But no,
Mm.
but going back to what you said, that's an incredible like. So you're saying just 1 week ago you felt this?
Yeah, like I felt like completely, oh, I'm completely in love with myself. Like I felt it like a week ago, completely. Yeah.
Wow. I hope I can figure out how to. I probably need like mushrooms to feel that. I don't know,
Mushroom does
but
help.
which funny. I tried to do mushrooms one time and it didn't
Mm,
work because it was
mm,
like counteracting with the medication that I take. So I
mm,
want to try again.
mm,
But like go off my medic. I mean, I shouldn't go off medication, but just for like a few days, I'll go off to try the mushrooms because I have
mm,
heard of other people saying similar things as you,
mm,
but with
mm,
the assistance of psychedelics because it kind of
mm.
takes them out of their human analytical element and it
Exactly.
gets them in touch with like the people and the love around
Mm,
them. So yeah, that's
mm,
incredible.
mm.
Very inspiring to hear.
Yeah, I recommend it. Like, yeah, mushroom is like the my thing. I feel like.
Oh, so you've had experience with mushrooms?
Yeah, and like I'm microdosing right now.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Do you, so when was the first time you tried mushrooms?
Oh, first time was like now that I think of it, it's like really crazy, but like I never had any experience with mushroom before, but like I jumped in like this mushroom ceremony thing, like where all the participants take like 4 grams, 5 grams, like a big amount of mushrooms, and then go on like a full journey. And then that was like that was my first time, and then that was like 2 years ago.
When you did this, did you have like an intense trip or was it mild?
Oh, it was very, very intense.
What was it like?
It was like I start like seeing things. For example, like there's like one person who was sitting next to me. He was like sitting still, but in my eyes, like he started doing this. And then like I was like, this is so scary. So I closed my eyes. And then like apparently when you are journeying, like you are supposed to be closing your eyes because you see things that is like your brain is not ready to see.
Yeah, no, I've heard of. I mean, I've more specifically heard more stories like that with DMT. You know what I mean? I don't even know where
Mm,
to find DMT, but
mm,
I've heard that that one is like very extreme. Like you can have psychological like revelations. Like, oh my God,
mm.
this is helping me fix a problem I've been having for years. But I've
Oh
heard
yeah.
mushrooms can also have somewhat of a similar
Mm,
effect, where some psychological problems could get worked out because you see the
mm,
world in a new light. And I'm like,
mm,
maybe that's what I need to get to step 3 when you were going to
mm.
those 3 steps. Some
Yeah.
assistance for me because
Yeah.
I'm very like I'm a overthinker. Like I have a
Mm,
hard time like resting my mind, you know?
mm. So
Yeah.
it might help. Like I think like after the ceremony, I feel like I finally learned how to relax my body. Like, like, mhm.
Do you microdose when you perform on stage?
No, I don't. Like I do like once in 3 days right now.
Yeah.
But like I microdosing days like when I don't have any like um shows or anything.
And like microdosing when you do that, so
Mm.
you don't trip, but you sort of like feel more relaxed. Is that what it does when you're microdosing?
Yeah, so like you don't really trip, like you are experiencing like your regular daily life,
Mm-hmm.
but like with like a little bit more heart opening, like more like you feel touched or moved by like trees or birds, like oh, like
More in touch
beautiful.
with that's great because it's like you're from what I'm hearing, it's almost like you're more in touch with the beauty of
Mm,
life and not so much
mm,
the negativity because I feel like especially now like with the
mm,
news and everything so much information coming our way it could
mm,
get easy it could become easy to get in the mindset and I get there sometimes myself of like the
mm,
world is doomed, you know what I mean, like we have a shitty
mm,
society,
mm,
whatever, like those types of negative feelings about society, but it sounds like with
mm,
this you're able to somehow get in touch with the beauty that still exists, you know.
mm,
And it
mm.
sounds like the beauty that exists is not the people, it's the nature. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Mm. But like
Um,
yeah, more animals or like trees. Yeah.
do you have any pets?
No, I don't. But I want to have a puppy.
Aw. I have cats.
Oh,
Yeah, I have two cats. I wish that I could show them in the video, but they're upstairs
mm.
hiding. But
Oh,
I love
what other
animals.
names?
Names?
Mm.
Jazzy and Neo. Neo from like
Oh,
the Matrix because he's a black cat.
oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, and Jazzy
Jazzy.
because I just like jazz music. So Jazzy.
Uh, have you
Okay.
taken the red pill?
Have I taken the red pill?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's funny. Neo is named after the Matrix, but
Mm,
I didn't name him. My
mm,
ex at the time, my boyfriend's
mm,
ex-boyfriend's brother named him because I didn't know
mm,
how to name him. I was like, I have no idea what to name
mm,
my cat. You could if you want. And he's like, Neo. So
mm,
I actually don't know too much about the Matrix. Like I understand
mm,
some of the references, but and I would
mm,
like to watch the movie again if I could like find it on Netflix or wherever it is.
mm,
But I actually don't know what that means, like because I don't
mm,
remember too much about the Matrix. So if you can
mm.
explain to me like the red pill.
Oh, okay. I think from my interpretation, Matrix, like you get sucked in the Matrix, so like controlling people system more if you put your identity like heavily like attached to like race or gender or like age. If you like identify yourself with like race or like then like you get categorized your identity categorized more and more and then you kind of like lose the true essence of yourself. So like if you take red pills, like you all the conditioning part of to like identify yourself with like race or gender or age or like those conditioning part like will be no longer affecting the way you perceive yourself, and then you start seeing your true power or your true self, and you can like activate your true power.
So it's like rather than seeing yourself as the identity that you gave yourself as a kid or whatever growing
Mm,
up, you start to
mm.
see more of your spirit,
Yes.
human spirit. Okay.
Mm,
I'm gonna have to
mm.
watch the Matrix then. Is this your interpretation of the Matrix, or is this like a commonly used interpretation of the Matrix red pill?
I think because like the title is Matrix, the like common interpretation of what is Matrix and the red pill is to take you out from the Matrix. The part is like very common interpretation, I think.
Yeah. I always
Yeah.
like I did know a little bit about the Matrix. I haven't, like I said, I think I've seen it when I was a kid, but it was so long ago that I don't remember. Um,
Mm,
but when I heard references, I always interpreted like which is is pretty much similar to what you're saying. It's like the Matrix is the world that we think is reality, And removing yourself from the matrix is removing yourself from like rules and conditions and allowing yourself to become free. You know?
Free, liberated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is like, I don't know, I feel like it's the goal of being human in a way, is to like learn how to become free of many different things, you know?
That's true. And then like, recently I had like my friend, she just had like laser eye surgery to like enhance her eyesight. And she was telling me like, oh, like, you know what? I didn't even think like I was like putting contact lenses and wearing glasses. I didn't even think like that was a chore or like something like may make me giving me extra work until like I got like this eye surgery and I can see everything freely. And then like, so like her mind was so accustomed to like wearing contact lenses and like wearing eyeglasses. And then
I that's funny you say that, because I think that all the time. Like, thank God I don't have to wear glasses, because I hate wearing sunglasses. Like I'm probably going to damage my eyes because I don't wear sunglasses like when I go out into the sun. And then, you know, my boyfriend, he wears glasses. I don't think he wears contacts, but he wears glasses. And like, I'm just like, how could he do that every single day? Like, I can barely get like, I mean, I guess if you have to, you just force yourself to do it. But like, I can barely keep on the sunglasses for 5 minutes. I'm like, this is so annoying. I would never. It's almost like you're living your life in a shield. Like you have this like barrier in front of your face that you're living with. And that's like such a good point. It's like, you don't realize wow, now I have like guilt that I have good eyes. like I'm like, I feel guilty that like I don't have to deal with that, because like that sounds really annoying, you know?
Yeah. So like that's like when you can experience the liberation, right? From like contraction to freedom.
I think also, to a degree, every human has some sort of condition that stops them from being free, because like for me it's not the glasses, but now that I think about it, I've had some things that stopped me from having freedom. So for me, and like another thing with, I don't have allergies, but that's like a whole nother thing. When people are like, I have allergies, I'm like, that must be terrible to like every time the trees are blooming and everybody's going out, it's beautiful, you're like in your room, you know, sneezing. Like that sounds awful, you know. So I don't deal with that. But for me it was scoliosis. Do you know what scoliosis is?
Oh, is it? Sorry, can you enlighten me?
So scoliosis is when your spine is not straight, it's actually curved. So you can't really tell with me sitting here, but like if you have an x-ray, you can see my spine is shaped like an S. And thank God, like right now I'm okay. But there's been some years in my life where I could barely get out of bed because because the spine is curved. I was doing like weightlifting, you know what I mean? I was doing some really heavy weightlifting, and I didn't realize that because my muscles are not like balanced because of the curvature of the spine, that I was putting some too much pressure from the working out, and it was causing like a bigger imbalance in my muscles because they weren't growing at the same time. So I experienced like a really bad injury, and I had to like take a rest from working out, and I was kind of bedridden in a way for a long time. So it's like, I feel like, you know, for some people it's the glasses, but and some people it's mental illness, you know what I mean? Like everybody has some sort of barrier that they have to struggle with as a human being. And like, I've actually thought this before, in a way, just having a human body is like, or like social conditions, like you said, is a barrier from experiencing freedom, you know?
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this feels, I have two more questions. This one feels like a strange transition because we were just talking about spirituality, but I think it's an interesting question. As far as your communication style, like with your friends or dating or whatever, are you the person who prefers being ghosted when something ends, or do you prefer like honesty conversation? You know, like, would you rather someone just, I'm not into you, like we don't have to talk about it, or do you kind of like a full conversation about that?
Oh, full opening, like with clarity and honesty. Yeah.
I'm exactly the same way. That's why I was like curious to see your perspective, because a lot of my friends I talk to, they're like just ghost me. They're like, I don't want to know why you hate me. Like, I don't need to hear that. But I'm very like, I will constantly be wondering. Like, I need the closure. You know what I mean? So I guess we're on the same page about that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then most of the time, like it's not about you anyway. It's like
Yeah.
something this person is experiencing. And then if this person is open enough to be able to share with integrity, I think that's better for
Yeah,
both
I think that's the right
people.
way to go, because
Yeah.
even like you said, if it's something they're going through, I think it's like a sign of respect. You know, even if you have some criticisms to give, to me, I'd rather take the criticism. That would be more of a sign of respect than just like disappearing on me, you know?
Yeah. At least I deserve honesty, right?
Yeah, I think, no, I agree. I think honesty is important. Okay, I have one more question for you before we end the podcast. This one is a little bit intense, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about before about, you know, finding your confidence. At this point, and I asked this to a lot of my guests, at this point of your life, you feel that there is a meaning of life, or is that not your thing? Are you more like atheist, like there's no meaning, I just kind of do my thing? Or have you come up with, like, at this point of your life, come up with some sort of meaning for yourself?
Oh, I do. You mean like the purpose of life or your
Yeah.
mission,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I know my mission is to, well, basically like, first of all, to like show up as exactly who you are is already like affect other people in a positive way, like to own my every single part of myself and show that to the world is like very important mission for all of us, I feel like. And then also like when you think of it, like I am as a person is a part of earth. So like to be able to love myself fully, like unconditionally, is to like I'm doing my part to heal the earth as a whole. And that's like really important mission each of us to have. And then like my unique personal mission is to like because I'm a stand-up comedian, like while I'm making people laugh, I also, my job is to brighten up or like making people's mind sharper.
I like that. And I think the stand-up comedy is a great way to express a lot of what you said, because I feel like comedy is a very honest art form, because it takes a lot of humility, like a lot of it's self-depreciative, to be able to go up there and say, to make fun of life, to make fun of some of the miseries of life. I feel like that's a beautiful way to demonstrate a lot of what you're saying, to show yourself and to show your truth, to show your flaws, you know, quote unquote flaws on the stage in front of people. That is a way to, I believe that is a way to inspire that in other people. And like going back to a little what you said before, I like that you said it's your mission to show these parts of yourself, because I feel like just by being that person and just by showing those parts of yourself, you can then inspire other people who need to also do that for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like basically by giving permission to myself to be exactly who I am. Like I am giving permission to other people to do the same, I feel like.
Yeah, no. Wow, that was powerful. I feel like I needed to hear that myself. So it was like a good timing for the podcast.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to end the podcast there. So again, for the listeners, this is episode number 90. If you enjoyed our conversation and you liked what you heard from Yumi, I will include her information below in the section. I'll include her Instagram and her YouTube if you would like to see more of her, see where her shows are. And again, that's it. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can help me grow this channel this year. And that's it. Pranzata Podcast, episode 90. Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye.
Yay. Goodbye.